Hey folks, today I'm going to be building this table based on the Gaming Geek design, which I'll leave a link to in the description down below. The basic idea for this table is that it's a RPG or board game table. So you're able to leave your figures or your board games down here at this sunken in level here that you can see, and then there'll be boards that can go on top to serve as a dining table. I'm not going to be building the dining table portion of this because I have limited funds right now, but I'm bearing it in mind when I'm building this table so that I will be able to do it in the future. I've also added a drawer here so that I can have some DM supplies that pull out and a place to store my tablet, which will run the screen in the center here, this gray part here that is just using the default metal texture here in SketchUp, is actually going to be a television so that I can run tabletop D&D type games with a map that's displayed here so that everyone's able to see like the map that's downloaded instead of printing out a map every time.
I've secured this board to the back in hopes that I can screw into that instead of the TV.
I've laid this down on the floor and I've screwed together using pocket holes these 4 pieces of plywood. You could just do one big piece of plywood and cut a hole in the middle, but I needed to fit it in the car, so I had to chop the board up. Here's how those are connected with the pocket holes. And I've added this border here using 1x4s. This is like looking down at the table right now. I did leave some gaps here by accident. You can see in here that there's actually a gap between the plywood and the 1x4, but that's fine. That's actually going to get covered up in the end. Okay, so I've added this little bit of trim here along the edges here, and you can see that it recesses right here. The table's going to come out from here, so this is going to be visible. So I actually got some nice wood for that. And then I also added in some screws attaching the main boards because they weren't quite working out with just nails. Please excuse the mess. This is the top of the table flipped upside down, and it's made from 1x6s, and it's just pocket screwed together. Okay, so I have now nailed on the lip. This is looking down at the table like you would normally. There's the edge, and then in here's where the games will go, and then obviously in the middle here where the grass is will be the TV. So I've tacked in place these boards on the inside here. These are going to help guide the TV to be flush. I've made this frame here out of 2x4s, and this is what's going to support the table. Okay, so that's the frame attached to the table. So I've just taken some 2x2s here and I've placed them in so that they're supporting the TV. The TV is resting on those shims that I put in on the other side there. Rather unfortunately, it looks like I've actually managed to scrape up the front of this screen by doing this. That's really annoying, but it is what it is. It'll probably get messed up with dice rolling on it anyway. Say hello to Luna, everyone. She's the building inspector. So I've added this lip here that goes all the way down. This is obviously we're looking down below. And there's a cutout over here at this point where there's going to be a drawer that will pull out, and that will help the DM keep some supplies. So disaster struck, and these 2 pieces separated. You can see here that these nails really are not very deep. So they weren't actually anchoring the pieces together properly, and this just slipped and they broke apart. Okay, so I've gone ahead and actually screwed these in now through the face of these boards here, and I've sunk those in so that I can fill them in with wood filler because I really don't like the look of that on the top of the table. Cut up some 2x4s here, and along the sides to add some stability. You can see Luna here is inspecting the work. Okay, so these are the legs for the table. Each one consists of 2 2x4s glued and screwed together, and then there's some holes here for bolts to go through to the table proper. I've attached all 4 legs with lag bolts. This is what the underside looks like currently. I've drilled a hole in the corner here so that I can run the cord for the lights through. I've also put a hole in the bottom leg here that's closest to my power source. Okay, so I've gone ahead and stained the legs and the part right around where the TV goes. I've also put in some putty here. This needs to dry and then I need to sand it down, covering up the screws that I put in through the face of the tabletop. And it's coming along nicely. I 3D printed this cozy here for cans and glasses, and I'm going to sink them into the corners here so that people have a non-spill option for keeping their drinks rather than keeping them balanced on this thin lip here while we're playing a game. They can keep it in the cozy, or they can keep their pens or whatever they want in there. One incredibly ugly jigsaw cut later, and this slots in and falls flat there. So it just needs friction to keep it in place. And I'm going to have 2 in each corner, so that's going to be more than enough for everyone at the table. In this corner here, next to where the drawer is, there's going to be a power outlet so that I can plug in my laptop. So I've cut a really rough hole here so that I can fit a box inside. So here it is with the plug installed. I've actually gone ahead and finished all of the electrical wiring at this point. So this is the end user one that I'll be able to access from the table. The wiring for that comes underneath and around to this box here, which is what will power the TV and the lights. And then that cord goes down through a hole in the leg and it will go off to a plug over there. I won't be showing how to wire in this because I'm not an electrician and I don't feel like showing my mistakes to the internet. So all I'll say is that I've wired it up safely, and if you want to learn how to do that, there's plenty of resources online. Okay, so I've stained all the parts that will be visible on the table. A shade called Provincial from Varathane. I've started working on the drawer that's going to pull out and give this surface some extra surface for the DM. And I've just used the trim that I put above the lights to make this little backing piece here, as well as this piece here, which is about 2 inches tall, that fits that drawer perfectly. Okay, so I've assembled this frame here. This is going to be the drawer, and then I've left space here at the bottom to add planks so that it will form the actual drawer, like this. This is the finished drawer. It's really more of a tray or leaf that pulls out, but it's just enough for my tablet and pencils and some papers and stuff like that to actually have a place to slide back in. I added the drawer slides to the sides and then realized that I made the drawer too big to include the width of the slides, so I need to go back, tear it apart, and remake it. I've managed to get the drawer installed. It was a little bit awkward, but it works, and it goes in nice and tight. I do need to get a handle for it, though, otherwise I won't be able to open it. I'm also staining the drawer to match the table. The table is all shiny because I've put on 2 coats of Varathane. I'm going to do 3 total, and I've got the table up on little blocks here so that the sawdust doesn't get painted to the legs. Now that the Varathane is dry, I've gone ahead and installed the cup holders. So I've cut up some cork and laid it down on the surface of the table, and it's gluing down under the weight of these board games and books. The cork has finished drying, and I've installed LED lights underneath the strips of wood in the corner here. Right now they're controllable via a little remote control, which I am keeping in the drawer. Here we go with the final result. I've got a map up here showing you kind of what the idea is for game night, and then we come around to the front of the table here. I've got my laptop set up and everything ready. Having now played a game on this last night, I can say that this is a huge improvement off of the little table that I had before, and I'm really excited to do more with this, to try out all the features, and just to, yes, Luna, yes. to try out the features and to play as many games as possible. Thank you all for watching this one. I will do an update video when I make the topper and see if I've made any changes from then. Until then, bye-bye.